Hello future tech leaders, I'm Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A Cloudfoundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Now we were talking about the Kronos, like it's used to drag the labors. There might be scenarios where some companies do have less employees, some might have more employees. Based on that, also the Kronos, the UKG, the Ultimate Kronos. Previously it was known as Kronos, but they now changed their name. The company name, the parent company, is changed to Ultimate Kronos Group, that is UKG. They have 3 software running. 3 applications, out of which we already know the Central. They will stop the supporting of Central from next year. Central would be there for the clients, but from UKG sites. Whenever. Sometimes it may happen that if you are stuck in a critical situation, then you can reach out to the UKG teams and they'll ask you the logs, they'll ask you what exactly happened, the details. Then they will provide you the root cause analysis of that. It happens. There is always a SME assigned to a client, but going forward they will stop those things. It would be on your own. Your client will have their separate SME to help you out. We can say like there would be the opportunity, more opportunity in Central as compared to current scenario because there won't be someone supporting from UKG side. They will find out someone from the market to support us. The client will do correct. You will find a partner. That we can think of correct. And dimension. We already know dimension would be there. The UKG support would be there, but they need more normal implementation or integration employee in order to do the configuration. The SME would be from their site. But during the process, like whenever client joins you, that's the normal process that if you want a particular application from the UKG, they don't charge for the applications. Direct for the application. They usually go with the entitlement. How many entitlement or a specific license or entitlement you required, they have their own dollar and charges based on the number of employees. You can go ahead. That gives an add-on advantage for the Kronos because like if you have 100 employees, you can pay for 100 license or entitlement. If you have lakhs of employees, you can pay for lakhs of licenses. This makes Kronos very accessible or purchasable for every client. Now, based on talking about the 3 products, Central and Dimension, we already talked. Then there is a ready application. That is used by small organization or mid-sized organization. Though the clients or the company that has like around 10,000 in thousands of human capital. Labors, they usually prefer to go with the ready application. Now, like again, the Kronos is cloud-based software solution. And it is used for handle the workforce. Or basically we can say it's an HCM that we call as human capital management software. Now what exactly Kronos do for us? Like some application, like say for example, we have a SAP or SuccessFactors. That particular application is used to maintain the HR system. The employees would be hired over there and then it will transfer to the Kronos. SAP is basically used to create the profile of employees, input the details of an employee, correct? Whereas the Kronos will help you to take care of all those things from the pre-hire or hire of the employee to the payment. In between, whatever things you can assume, everything is done by Kronos. That's true. You have already used Central. Everything is handled by Kronos. Like if you want to create a new employee, give them the license they can use. If you don't give them the license, they won't be able to use correct. And for the payroll team, what all details we send to the payroll team? Do you have any idea of that? Irish in reference to the stuff that you're going over. I didn't want to stop you in the middle, but all of this I already know in reference to the workforce, central workforce, dimension versus ready. Also in reference to Ultipro. Ultipro, of course, is Kronos is, I'll say, compatible to SAP or Workday or whatever. PeopleSoft. That part I already know in reference to licenses, how to set them up or whatever. That part I know. I guess, when you look at employees and look at work rules, change work rules, manage the time for the employees, and of course, pay the employees. Just give me that part. So, I'll just go ahead, please. I was just giving you a laugh. As you said, you already know this thing. That's good for me. I didn't need to go through those things. Just confirm a few of the things. I'll just ask you the overview. You know all the modules. The basic modules, the timekeeping, scheduling, UDM, we talked about the leave and absence, attendance, attestation. And you already know the architecture, like there would be servers, employee log into the servers, and on top of that there would be load balancer, which will be a common link, which is that part there that you're going over. That's the part. I want to get more detail on the load balancer and all that technical side of it, I guess. Now talking about the load balancer, there would be a number of servers and each of us will have their own specific function. Like some function. Like if I say the function, that means was would be only used by the users that we can say the web servers or user facing servers. And some of them would be for different functionality. Some will have their UDM, some will have the access for the, let's say for a particular block. As we are a developer, we need the application setup access. But the normal employer manager doesn't need that thing. Based on the different server, they categorize the functionality. And whenever for the user perspective, let's say your company has 10 servers, it won't be the good to share the 10 server link to them. Correct. Now there comes the load balancer server. We will share a link to them. That would be the load balancer server link. And that particular load balancer link would be responsible for transferring the employees equally into the different servers. Let's say we have 10 servers, as I said, and for example, let's say 50 employees has used the load balancer to log in. It will distribute 5 employees on each servers, that there won't be any load or there won't be any crash of server. Every server will have equal number of employees and they would function very smoothly and fast. That is the work of load balancer. Got it. And we know about the modules, the server, and it's obvious the server will be taking care of the work to fetch the data from the database. Now in dimension, what exactly happening previously? We know in Central. We can directly access the Central database, the Oracle DB. But over here, whatever request or data you send to other application or whatever data you need from the database. For database, we have a data. Let's keep aside the database. Let's see if you want to send a data to let's say SAP, or you want a data from SAP or another software like the payroll system. Now, in that current scenario, in the dimension, what they have implemented, they give a key. Every single client has their own encrypted key in order to decrypt those things. They'll have a key. When you send those data, it would be in any format. Firstly, they will encrypt that with the key, that there won't be any attack or any data loss, or someone can randomly get those data. They will do that encryption. Then it will send that particular file to the respective location. Then, using the same key, that particular software or that particular environment will decrypt those things. Once the decryption is done, that particular software or application will be using that data. Previously, it was directly going into the DB, and you might see that happening very quickly. But now there is an add-on layer of T that is very unique. And it's very rare that someone will know that key. The highest stakeholders, or let's say the main senior developer, might know about the key. Even I am not sure about the key which is used in my company. And there are lots of other things going around. For example, for the devices correct. Again, we need Postman application. Whenever you want to do that thing, we need the session ID from the Postman. We can get those things in order to manipulate the data. These are some add-on security being added in Dimension. Just for knowledge, this is what happening in Dimension. It's not easy to attack or to get the data. These things, the files which you are sending or the file which you are getting, you can see those data into the integration options. There would be the inbound and outbound folder would be there. We'll go through that. Just giving you the rough how the things work for now. In the Dimension now over there, you will directly see the files. But once that file will go into the process of sending or receiving, it will go with that encryption process. Now the other part. You might know the famous things which we use like quick find pay period, close worked account. These are different things where we see how many employees are there and how we find out during the pay policies things. Correct. During the payroll also. Now, as I asked you, like, do you know what all details we said send to the payroll for the payment? You know, like what? All things like pay codes with the respective hours, with employee ID and all. Great. Their respective pay codes, the number of hours they have worked, along with the sum of the details, your employee, ID, your number, your primary job. If you're working at another job, your transfer and all those things. Correct? And you also know the process of hiring an employee, and you know which particular integration is used to get the data into the Kronos from SP, the employee import. Correct. No, not from SAP, but in reference to the people's file. Is that what you're referring to? The people file generates from where? Well, it comes over from the Workday. It comes over from OT Pro, or like you said, Workday or SAP or people file, whatever it is. It comes over. SAP is one of the famous one. For my clients, they are using SP. Like most of the time you'll see SP or success factor. They call it success factor, yep. There are other applications also that I'd say. The Workday is also there, which my current company is using. The current company, not my client. My current company is using Workday. There are a number of software, but mostly the famous one is SAP. From SAP, the file will get generated, correct? And that file will be taken as an input by the employee import integration. You know about the employee import integration. Then again from the UDM, the data will come into picture. Correct. Now coming to the part of the devices. Let's say it's not obvious that every time there would be the connection. You might know there is a storage in the device. Correct. And yep, they store those data, and once the connection is done, it comes online. It will send those data. If it's not sent, we use collect command to collect those punches. Correct? That you know. This is just a brief I'm giving you. I thought we used any reference to bringing it in reference to bringing the files over. Are we using connect or we're using win? Collect. No, this is for the devices. O for the devices. This is like once your profile is into the system. Now it's time to work. The company will know once you have the punches, then only the company will you have worked. Correct? Now you already know about the two kinds of approved employee and manager approval. And then top of that we have a sign off. And then there would be the payroll system where we send those data. That is clear. Correct? That's great. And I'm just telling some of the important terminologies. Just let me know you know about it or not. Just going through it. Primary or home account? Primary. That's there. Primary home account. Transfer jobs, transfer location. Across payroll integration. I know most of payroll integration. What are you referring to? No payroll means what's the process? What does payroll mean? The process of how we do those things. Payroll process, like we come online, the managers needs to do the sign off. Then if someone misses the sign off, then the support team will come into picture or developer team like us will come into picture. We'll check whether those sign off is done or not. Then we check the pay period close or remaining employees for that store, and then we do the sign off. And then we send the respective pay codes, the number of hours to the payroll teams, to the payroll system, and then they will do the paychecks. This is what payroll. And talking about the good. So, no, I was just saying you guys do it a little different. But yes, every company, it's obvious. The managers will sign off, and then once they sign off, the managers sign off and payroll will submit the file. Correct. Some countries, like my current client is Australia. Some countries have a deadline for that. If the payroll team, let's say that in some companies there would be a payroll manager or a normal manager. The payroll team, we can say the payroll team or the normal manager. Manager usually do this, the sign off or the approvals and all these things. If there is another payroll team, then the payroll team will take care of the sign off. And manager will only be based for the manager approval. Some companies have different teams for both of the tasks. Some will have a single person who will taking care of those. And it's obvious every team follows different structure for the Australian. They do have a deadline. But due to some reason or due to some technical issue or anything, if the payroll team misses the deadline, then we need to do the sign off and send the details to the payroll team. Those, the one who do the in-cash. Because they have a deadline that like before 2 p.m. Their time. We need to complete those things that they can prepare the checks and do the payment by end of the day. For the restriction, if there is a restriction, it would be good. And if there is no restriction, it's obvious we can take time and do the things. But for some countries, Australia, US and other countries, they do have restriction. I think most of the every country have their own restriction, their labor laws, and the country's law will come into picture. Now just checking. I know you know there are two types of employees, the hourly employer and the salary employees. And how the payroll is done, like what kind of payroll is done for the hourly, it would be weekly or bi-weekly. And for the salary, it would be the monthly one. Correct? Mostly well. Salary I've mostly dealt with bi-weekly and monthly for salary. And then all the others are weekly. That depends. Like it's most of the things depends on how your client process. My previous client when I was in TCS, they were using monthly one. For and a weekly same case over here. It's an Australian. They are using the same thing. But a few of my other friends who are working in other environment, they are doing bi-weekly and monthly. As you said, some do like weekly and bi-weekly, like that they are doing for the hourly and salary. Now integrations. What it does, you understand. In reference to doing integration, sending the data from the various systems, one system to another, feeding into one system to another. Audit means. Audit you can explain that one to me. In system, in order to track what exactly is changed, who has done that change, and when that change is been done by that person, we have an audit tab. If you have gone through the time card at the bottom, there are few options, accruals, then totals, then audit. That audit will keep the account of all those things. Like what do you have made changes? That means who has done the changes. What changes he has done, for what time or like which particular time they have done the changes. Everything is stored in the audit. That's why the developer like us. We avoid making changes at the time card because it will capture our name and that can come up in the yearly audit of the company, the accounting audit. They might ask us. We just avoid those things as a developer. Mostly, we'll ask the manager or the employer to make the change. We know that this change is done by XYZ process. We will explain them and they will do the changes either by sharing the screen or by just by a document. We'll share them and they will in order to not. I'm sorry, yes, I am familiar with audit. I thought you meant a section in reference to auditing, but yes, I am familiar with in reference to whenever they make changes that the system does track it. And it also lets them know, if the employees, as far as the clocks are concerned, if they're using clocks, it shows if they clocked at that clock or if somebody entered it manually. Yes, correct. Every single thing, whether you change 8 hours to 8.1 hour, it will capture those things now. Pay code. Pay code. In reference to pay codes, are you asking me what type of pay codes do we have? Just the use of pay code. What exactly it is? We'll go about the types. There are 3 types. When we talk about the setup, then rule analysis. Request, you already know people or people editor. You already know that exceptions are ready. You might know, then license entitlement is there. Totalization. Go over that for me. Totalization, it's like whenever you make any changes. It needs to be going to the DB and it needs to be reflected in every single system or every single service. During the totalization, what totalization do? It will capture all the changes or all the details of your profile. If there is any change, it will capture those and save it into the database. If your profile is not totalizing into the totalization, you will not be getting paid or you will not be considered for the payment. And totalization runs continuously. Some companies create a script that every 1 or 2 hours, 3 hours, the totalization needs to run. Some do this totalization work on 5 minutes or it should be done on an automatic way. Any change. Let's say you changed from 8 to 8:10. You saved it. You need to store those data. This is a kind of a background process, like it will capture those things and store into DB and then it will reflect. Totalization means now there is no change. Everything is synced. If we want, we can proceed for the payment also. That's what totalization. During the payroll process, we always check the totalization. How many employees are included in totalization? Let's say, if I will exclude you from the totalization, doesn't matter your profile is signed off or not. Whether it gets signed off, still, you won't get the payment. That's the importance of totalization. Is that where you know, like in the system side, you can go in and you know where you can see how many. You know what you have licenses for, how many licenses you have available. And then you have the background and there's a tab for background. Sometimes everything is not synchronized. Totalize. Again, some of those records. Under the background process, you might see 21 employees is excluded and then there is a button to include them. You remember. And it is central. That's what, yep. You can use those things. Sometimes it may happen. What's another importance of totalization in real-time scenario? It may happen that one employee's profile is like a disaster. We don't want to be sent those particular profile for the payroll process. Because let's say there are lots of errors which needs to be fixed. There is some issue with their profile or with their time card. There are also further exceptions. Also in between the payroll, also we get some, I know few of the exceptions which we need to directly come into picture and do. Or let's say you are like new employees are coming into picture. You want them not to be excluded because it's just 3 or 4 days for them. Let's say for us in India, what happened if you joined? Let's say if I joined on 24th June, they won't consider me for the June's payment. They will give me the payment on July, considering 30 days plus those 6 or 7 days. In that scenario, they will exclude me from the totalization. That's the another use of totalization. If you want to exclude some employees, you can do that. If there is a disaster or there is a lots of issue going on with that profile which we cannot figure out, it needs some time. Let's exclude that person from the totalization, and the payroll team will manually give, like with reference to the previous time, how many dollars they have given in the previous week or previous month. They will give the payment, and after the totalization or after the issue is done, they will totalize and they will do the wage adjustment in the next period. With the totalization, when you're totalizing, just say if you realize, let's say I go in the back and I realized it's showing that I have 21 employees that were not included. And to update that, I would click the button. There is an option to update that. And then it would go ahead. I noticed, as you were saying, like when you add new employees, like if you try to add them in the middle of the day period, of course their time won't be. You'll have to kind of, finagle with the system to make it updated. That's true. And there are some scenarios like we have encountered a few of the issues which need some time. I haven't done that, excluding them from totalization. My leads usually has done that, and we need to answer that why you have removed that particular person from totalization. That's why always the lead or senior person do that. I'm not yet much experienced to do that because it's very, very critical. Because if you are excluding that person, if he won't get the payment, that person might do sue you. For the label or I've never excluded any, but I've already included. That's why we're trying to get to the multiple. My leads has done. And then once the issue is resolved, they exclude them. Again from the background process, the places where you took. Now you might know the employment term and historical corrections. Now I've gained the password and all these things. And now you do the sign in. Let me check whether I have access. I should have. Yes, I have. Now this is how your dimension look like. This is the home page, the landing page, login landing page. Now, yesterday we talked about the tiles from seeing it. You might understand what tiles are. Can you name a few? Tiles. It makes sense. Now I'm looking at them because it looks totally different from. Totally different. This particular block is known as tiles. Tiles 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 8, 10, 10, 11, 12, 12 tiles are there. Each tiles, as I said yesterday, each tiles is responsible for a single kind of functionality. This is for overtime monitor, manage time card, manage schedule my request, my profile, manage leave of absence over here. As I told you, like we can see what all balance you have. You can just move ahead and you will find out what all balance you have. You will see the request, lots of things. Now how? What all things? I told you about that there are a number of tiles. And in order to access those, we need to click on Tiles Library. This is, we call it as Edit option for the tiles. Click on it. And we will get the lots of options for the tiles. There would be 270 tiles. 270. Yes, yesterday I only told you that 270 inbuilt tiles. From it, let's say I want this one. I'll click on it and I'll apply. It will come for me. We got it. Now, if you want to remove you, just uncheck that. Apart from this, tiles under the tiles, you can have charts. A different kind of charts for your own. If you go down the bottom, you will see my chart. You can just click over here. You want to add the tiles. You can key in the details. And you will get a separate or specific tiles with your defined chart. Let's select the data. I'm just randomly selecting for now. Vertical bar limited data. No category employee full name, actual hours, correct save. Oh, where it's gone. It's coming up. This is how you can create a custom. No, this is not a customized. This is just a tiles where you can have the charts. In order to have a note, once you click on it, it will give you a wider view, a detailed view of it. It will tell you all the things using what all details you say. They were. That particular tiles will give you a chat, and over here you can find those details, what all from where those data came. Clear enough. Or you have any doubt? No, I'm just trying to keep up here the reference. That is pretty cool. You just click in. Basically, you are creating a chart from it. It looks like a query. Creating a chart, it's very again. You want to create a chart over here. Click on your select the options. Good, you have I just click on apply. Now, this is the chart which we are seeing over there. We have the options to see over here. Tally those data. And if you want anything else, you can play around with this data. Once you get the access, play around with those things. Now, let's go back. Let's go on home. Now, this is the home page key. Once you click, you'll go to the home page. Over here, you will see your name. For which name you will assign, or you will come into picture or like whoever login. Now, there are two search options over here. One, once you click the navigation option, you will find a search over here. Another, this is on the hand side. Now, this search is for employee search. And that particular search is to search the option below. Those things like what all options we have inside this one, we can search over here. Let's say we're talking about data view. Here we go. This option is in the data view and reports. If you expand data view and reports, you are getting that option. This particular search will help you to search from these options. Similar options are there for the application setup also. Now, in order to sign out, you can click over here, and there are two things to remember over here or to understand. You can see there is no icon over here. And under the applicant administration, there is an icon over here that almost says it will pop up a new tab. Whenever you see these icons at front of anything, that means it will open a new tab. Device, it will open a new tab. If you click on application setup, it will open a new tab for us. But over here, if you click on anything else, let's say data views, I'll click, it will open in the same tab. Got. Now let's again and nothing. Clear with those things in order to understand it. What all those things do. Now this search, we already know how to search and how the things are stored in the Kronos. It's last name, comma, first name. Correct. Whenever your name is there, It will always be the last name, comma, first name. You can, if you search with the first name, it's a probability is there that you won't find that particular person. But if you search with the last name, 100% you will find that employee. And there is another option is to search with their employee ID. And we have an asterisk for a wildcard. If you don't know exactly what things you need to put in, you put an asterisk. That means anything can fill up those places. If you put 9 asterisk, that will every employer which employees start with 9s will come up over here. Now this particular search in the dimension that in central we were having like when you saw it something, let's say you search. Let's say, for example, I'm just randomly at let's leave it. Let's search Harish. If you searched Harish, it will give you the active employees for what time period you select. Correct. If you select, let's say I got terminated on 1st May. If you are searching for a date of, let's say, 5th May, it won't give you my details. If you search for, let's say, 21st April or 27th April, it will give you my details in the search in the result option. Correct. That's how we search in Central. There is another way to search. Usually we use in Central. You can search by username also. But the thing is, if you are searching by a username in the time period, you need to select today. D. That's how you can search with this username. Got the third way to search employee. Now in the dimension over here, if you search, it will give you all the active employees. And in order to see that's it, if you select the advanced hearing is telling you the active employees. If you select all employees, then it will include the active and terminated based on the date frame which you select. The search option will work the same way. Whatever you say in the circle, but I have seen like if the employee is active, it comes under the current pay period, if I remember correctly. But if you basically it's for the time period, let's say from 1st to 7th. If the employee is active on 6th, it will come during that pay period. That's I've seen. I'm not sure how it works for those companies, but I have seen that they comes. It may happen. You can test it out and let me know also like that particular scenario is over, but for now I remember it's working exactly the same whatever is there in center of the search option. They have just changed the UI, but inside functionality is saved for it. And yes, this search is done. Now, you might know whenever we face an issue, we go with the help section. Correct. In order to know the help section in Central, we go with Manage My Department, we go to the hand side, we scroll down, then we find Help. That is for the Central over here. We have a direct access. You click on it and I'd suggest search something over here. Let's say you want to search the payroll, type it out. Let's say there would be a space. And this part, we would have to go under the navigator. Over there we have Manage My Department, and from Manage My Department on the hand side, where we see all those things, schedule, time a card, request and all those things. Scroll down, we find the help section. Directly help there. You will click on that. You will go to the next tab will open over here. it comes over here. You can learn the things. Or you click the browser between open in a new tab. I'll say the way the help section explains things in Dimension is way better than the help section in Central. If you need to explore other things, other modules, try to go ahead, try to take help, try to practice it out. Now is this access that, where this is for the administrator or the super user? Yes, I'll say yes. I will say yes. That's where I would be. I just want to make sure that that's what you are referring. Because it's obvious like the employees or manager usually don't need to know about this. Always tell the help section, always tell you about the configuration part. How that thing is working, how to do the configuration of the papers, his punch hole and anything in the configuration part they tell you correct. That's why it's mostly I have seen it's accessible by us only. Now what about the hyperfines? Do you know how we have the reports we have? We have hyperfines over here. Common setup. We have hyperfines. On the landing page, you know over where we used to have the search. Over here. That part will come when you go with the data view. In order to find any details, we need to go with the data view. It's not like the central, like directly. You need to select. Over here you will select which type of data or what kind of data you need. Let's say mostly we'll go with payroll or anything. Let me check activity, arts and data, that would be more relevant. And now you can select the hyperfind over here and the time period over here. That's how we go. Or that's how we select or use the data view. That's the way we would use it, but how would it work for a user? Same thing, they will have the data view access. They can go the options and then select the data view library. What all data we see over here? Like you have seen there are lots of data views. We control what all data we access here. You can have. If we give you 10 access, we'll have 10 options over here and you select that thing. Which type of data unit by selecting a type of data view. And then you will select the hyperfind for those employees. That's how we walk over here. Previously in Central, it was very straightforward. You go on the quick find. You click on the drop down of that. Instead of quick find, we select different genies. And then we select the different hyperfinds and the time period. Now what over? Here we go with the data view. Under the data view. Now the process is changed. Over there we first process wise, it's same. First we select the genies. That will tell you what all data you need. Same way we select data view over here. And we create the data view. I've created multiple data views. We create the data views. Now, that's good. Like you asked about the doubts, the hyperfind is done. Now, a last thing for this particular scenario, this particular scene or this particular page is your notification over here. This is known as Control Center in Dimension. The place you will see the notification is known as Control Center. If you click on that bell button, it will give you the short information about what notifications you have. If you want to see in detail, you will click on View All. Then it will open the whole page of Control Center for you. And I think the way of getting this notification is way better than Central, because in Central we were having all the list of notification. And from that we need to check and see what kind of notification it is. And then we take the action correct. Now over here, we already have a category listed for us. If you want to ignore the system message, don't take action, leave it. You click on the employee request, you will see the options, and then we already have few things over here. Based on each category, the options will get changed. Employee request might be to happen or something is missing to select all status. Now this is approved, cancel, cancel. As the status was not there, that's why it was not coming now. 3 employee request. We have 3 things. Now this is just a glimpse. If you want to in depth of anything, click on that. On the hand side, you will see each and every detail. They accrues things, what all accruals. They are applying the modification date. Every single detail you will see on the hand side. Now selecting that, you can take action whatever you want. Each and every category has their own options. Timekeeping, see employee request. Different option, leave of absence request are different, task is different. We have different categories based on the categories. We can have different options available there, and at the center you will find the glimpse of that notifications or that particular link. At the hand side you will see the detail. Got it. Clear with this one? And then good. Let me ask you a question in regards to setting up the, I know we have the tiles here, and I guess that's how, as far as setting up the tiles. If you say, I would go down at the bottom and click on that and set up a tile, but like with Workforce Central, you have the landing page, and then once you have your landing page, you set up pretty much what you want people to see. We'll say you have the My Manager page. You'll have access where they can see their employees on one side, and then on the other side where it may have two windows versus one. That's Navigator and Workspace. Correct. That is different. How do we get that set up here? We use tile. You can create the tiles, and we have the display preference. You can see we have data view management and homepage management. That we make the changes and the tiles part. We have custom tiles over here where we create those tiles. And based on that, you will have the access. We'll go through that. I'll take you through that. No worries. Just an overview. I'm telling that we have custom tiles, and over here we have homepage management and then the display profile also. Data view profile also, and other things. What all things you need. What all things you can see under the time called add on options and other things. Everything is configurable over here. You know what you can see. I know we went over. I said on the basic navigation, that's what we went through the tiles. The basic navigation, yes. The very first thing, once you land, you will see the tiles every single year. Whether it's an employer manager, everyone will see the tiles. This page only tiles with their name. Now, what all the tiles you have that we restrict. If you wanted to see 5 times, we'll restrict those things. And say the navigation view, the week navigation view. Where is there? I don't think there is navigation over here. That navigation is not here. See, that's past navigation, and you're talking about navigation profile and navigation and some navigator's profile. And navigation and navigator, that's not over here. I think I'm trying to figure out, and I'm going through our little course content here, and I see where we have the employee task manager task, payroll manager task. Oh, that's a good please. Go ahead. Is that something you kind of give me a quick overview of that? I know it looks, I know what it is, but looking at this, it's like totally different. I need to look. It's totally different. It's the configuration part. It may be pretty similar, but the view is totally like. I'm not going to say I know anything in reference to that cause I'll need to just look at it once to know how to navigate through it. Because I was like, this is totally different. Yes, the display is totally different. There are no relation between it, but other things you can easily find off, like if you check the paper, it says it's almost same. If you know about the attestation, it's almost same. If you know about accruals, it's almost same. Access profile is also same. Just a few things like the main change. As I told you, like in over there we use Ginny's widgets, Navigator's workplace. But over here we use styles and everything is taken care over here. That's totally different. Displays to other things. I think if I'll give you the overview, you will easily understand those things. If I'll tell you like what overtime means, what payrolls means for those things. But for the display preference, it's a bit difficult. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.